So, let's talk about the animation studio Illumination. They produced some pretty popular movies over the years.
Yeah, they're known for their family-friendly movies. They've had some big hits with Despicable Me, The Secret Life of Pets, and Sing.
And let's not forget about the Minions. Those little yellow guys are everywhere, kind of like a Vietnamese guy after stepping on a landmine.
Jesus Christ, Joe, and people called me unhinged?
Anyways, Illumination has definitely had a lot of success. They've grossed more billions of dollars at the box office.
I think what makes their movies so popular is that they have a broad appeal. They're funny, occasionally heartwarming, and sometimes have great characters. I don't think I have to remind any of you about what the hell they were doing with Hop.
Well, besides that train wreck, the animation is top-notch. They know how to make their characters pop. Plus, their movies always have a positive message. They teach kids important values like teamwork, friendship, and to protect the environment. So you don't buy air from a sleazy manlet. You know what they say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And Illumination seems to have found a winning formula to print money like Joe's Federal Reserve has.
That's true, but I feel that they have become stale and predictable, at least in the last few years.
I agree, but I have faith in Illumination. They've proven themselves time and time again.
Absolutely. They've established themselves as a major player in the animation industry, and I think they'll continue to produce great movies for years to come. I mean, they started off strong with Despicable Me. I think we can all agree it is one of the best Illumination movies out there.
Definitely. I mean, it's got everything you want in a family movie. Heart, humor, and of course, it introduced us to the Minions, which have made many a boomer smile with delight.
True, it's also got a great villain in Gru. I mean, how can you not love a supervillain who adopts a bunch of orphans?
Reminds you of a certain someone, Joe?
Yeah, your pal Epstein, Donnie?
What I really like about Despicable Me is how it balances the comedy with some real emotional moments. Unlike in later Illumination movies, Gru realizes how much he cares about his girls, and it's a really touching moment and not used for a cheap fart joke.
Exactly. The sequels suffer from this a lot. They're not as good as the first one, but I would argue they're still pretty entertaining, and Despicable Me was a great start for Illumination, at least before they started shilling out the Minions movie.
Hey, I thought the Minions movie was pretty good.
Found the boomer.
All right, so it's settled then. Despicable Me goes in S tier.
Agreed. And let's make sure the other Illumination movies are all ranked accordingly. None of the other ones really reached the high that Despicable Me reached.
Yeah, we don't want any tier list controversy on our hands.
Okay, next we got Hop. Let's talk about this abomination called Hop. I mean, seriously, what was the point of this movie? A bunny that wants to be a rock star? Give me a break. The fuck does that have to do with Easter?
I have to agree with you there, Trump. The premise was just ridiculous, and the execution was even worse.
And let's not forget the blatant product placement for junk food. It was like watching a 90-minute ad for Big Chocolate.
Plus, the humor was written by Amy Schumer and a team of special needs kindergartners. I mean, I like a good fart joke as much as the next guy, but this movie was just trying way too hard.
And let's not forget the fact that it was just forgettable. I watched it once, and I couldn't tell you a single thing about it, except that I wasted my time.
So there you have it, folks. Hop is a prime example of a D-tier movie. Just stay away from it and save yourself the headache.
All right, we got a decent movie now. Let's talk about the Lorax. I gotta say, I really enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's a great movie. The animation is beautiful. And the story has a strong message about environmentalism and beating up manlets.
That's right. And the characters are all so memorable. The Lorax, voiced by Danny DeVito himself, is such a lovable little guy.
I gotta admit, I wasn't too sure about it at first, but by the end, I was totally on board. It's a great retelling of a classic for a new generation. The songs are catchy too, especially the intro to Thneedville.
And it's not afraid to tackle some pretty heavy themes like corporate greed and deforestation. But it still manages to be a fun and entertaining movie.
Yeah, I love it when a movie can make the destruction of an entire way of life entertaining.
Overall, I think it's a fantastic movie that really resonates with people of all ages. Definitely A tier for me.
Agreed. A tier all the way.
Same here, A tier.
Yeah, it's a good one. A tier for me as well.
All right, moving on to Despicable Me 2. What do you guys think?
I actually really enjoyed that one. The storyline was engaging, the humor was on point, and the character development was solid.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't know, I thought it was a bit too similar to the first one. Like, they just added more minions, then dumped more minions on top of it and called it a day.
I see your point, but I think they did a good job of expanding on the world and the characters. Plus, the addition of Lucy as a new character brought a fresh perspective to the franchise.
And the villain, El Chapo, was pretty entertaining. I mean, who doesn't love a good over-the-top villain?
Joe, El Chapo is a drug kingpin, you geriatric. You're thinking of El Macho, another Mexican menace.
Okay, fine, I'll give you guys that. The music was catchy, but I still think it wasn't as good as the first one.
Well, that's why we have Tears. I think it deserves a solid B. What do you guys think?
I'm with you on that. B sounds about right.
Agreed.
All right, fine, B it is.
All right, let's talk about the Minions. Honestly, this movie was shit with a capital S.
Come on, Joe, they're hilarious. Look at them running around and causing chaos.
Boomer spotted.
I have to side with Joe on this one, Donald. I mean, the Minions are great, but the movie itself is just meh.
The movie is just a bunch of slapstick humor and random gags with no real substance. It's like watching an episode of SNL in 2023.
But isn't that what makes it great? Sometimes you just need to sit back and enjoy some mindless entertainment.
I get where you're coming from, but I think there are plenty of other animated movies that do mindless entertainment 100 times better than this.
And let's not forget the annoying minion speak. It worked in the first movie, but here, it was way overused.
That's another thing. The Minions are cute in small doses, but having to listen to them speak in their gibberish language for an entire movie was just grating.
All right, I see your points, but I still think the Minions are funny.
And that's okay, Donald. You might have boomer brain, which is fine, but as a movie, I think The Minions falls short.
Agreed. It's definitely not one of the better Illumination animation movies out there.
So we're all in agreement then? The Minions belongs in the C tier?
I guess so, but I still think they're funny.
Donald, are you having a fucking stroke or something? We said you can have your shit take.
Cut out that malarkey. Okay, let's talk about The Secret Life of Pets. I thought it was a great movie. Definitely A tier for me.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I'd give it a solid A as well.
Agreed, it was a really fun and entertaining movie. Definitely A-tier material.
I thought it was cute, but not quite as good as some of the other Illumination movies. I put it in B.
Really, I thought it was fantastic. I mean, haven't you wondered about what pets do when their owners aren't around?
Yeah, the characters were great too. I especially liked Snowball.
Yeah, the one time Kevin Hart was funny.
I agree, the characters were great. But for me, the plot was a bit predictable and didn't have as much depth as some of the other Illumination movies.
I see your point, but I still think the movie was incredibly enjoyable. The humor was spot on and didn't rely on the typical diet of fart jokes that you would expect from Illumination.
And like Obama said, the voice cast was fantastic. Epstein's pal Louis C.K. and did a great job.
Overall, I thought it was a good movie, but not quite as memorable as some of the other Illumination films.
Fair enough, but I still think it deserves an A tier spot on our tier list. Good try and all right concept.
Okay, we got my favorite movie now, Sing. I love the music, and the different animals singing songs was nice.
Yeah, I agree. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. I'm not too big on show tunes anyway, but I enjoyed it.
I think the message of the movie was really powerful too. It's all about pursuing your dreams and never giving up, no matter how difficult things get.
Yeah, like you running for president as a black man?
Joe, don't give me that shit about how Obama had a harder time running for president just because he's black. We all know that's the only reason why millions of people voted for him. That was a genuine advantage for him, unlike your kitty sniffing in the 2020 election, you rigging prick.
Jesus Christ, man, do you ever talk about anything besides the election? Maybe get some hobbies, you fat orange fuck.
Okay, besides all of you being fucking retards, I think we can all agree that Sing deserves an A-tier spot in our tier list of Illumination animation movies.
Absolutely, it's one of their best.
And it's a movie that people of all ages can enjoy. That's always a sign of a great film.
All right, let's talk about Despicable Me 3. It was all right, not great, not terrible. I'd say it's a solid B-tier movie.
I agree, it wasn't as good as the first two Despicable Me movies, but it had its moments.
I thought it was pretty good. The villain was interesting.
The Minions were definitely the best part. They always bring the laughs.
I'm not even going to say something here. Your obsession with these minions is concerning Sikh therapy.
I like the new villain, Balthazar Brat. He was a former child star who became a supervillain and had some funny quirks.
And Gru's twin brother, Drew, added something interesting, but seems like an overdone trope at this point. Just put it in B, let's move on. Well, gentlemen, we got The Grinch. What are your thoughts?
I gotta say, I wasn't a fan. It really wasn't that good in comparison to the original or the Jim Carrey version.
I have to disagree, I actually enjoyed it.
I have to side with Obama on this one.
I can see both sides, but I have to admit the Grinch's character felt a bit flat to me. He just didn't have the same level of depth as in the original.
Yeah, I agree with Biden on this one. The Grinch just felt like a caricature of himself. And what was up with that reindeer character?
I actually thought the reindeer was a nice addition. It brought a bit of humor to the movie, even though it wasn't a great movie.
All right, so where do we stand on this one? I'm thinking solid C tier.
Agreed.
I think it deserves B tier, but I can compromise with C.
Yeah, I'm with Obama on this one. I think it deserves B tier.
All right, we'll compromise and put it in C tier. They tried but failed in remaking a classic. So next is The Secret Life of Pets 2. I gotta say, it wasn't as good as the first one.
Yeah, I feel you on that. It just seemed like a rehash of the same old story without any of the charm.
I thought it was okay, but definitely not great. Some of the jokes landed, but most of them fell flat like Joe at a flight of stairs.
Well, I have to say I was a bit disappointed. I loved the first one, but this one just didn't have the same magic.
Exactly, it was like they were trying too hard to make it funny instead of just letting the humor come naturally. And what was up with the subplots? The whole superhero dog thing felt forced and didn't add anything to the story.
And the whole subplot with the cat lady was just weird. It felt like they were trying to create a villain for no reason.
I think one of the biggest problems was the lack of character development.
Yeah, and the new characters they introduced were just forgettable. I couldn't even tell you their names.
That's nothing new with you, Sleepy Joe. You forget your own name these days.
What were we talking about?
Yeah, at the end of the day, the movie just didn't live up to its potential. It felt like a cash grab instead of a genuine effort to tell a good story.
I agree, it's definitely a D tier movie for me.
Same here.
Unfortunately, I have to agree, D tier it is, dump in the pit of no return.
Well, I have to say, I really enjoyed Sing 2. The music was great as usual, and the story was heartwarming and had some good messages about the importance of following your dreams.
I agree, Sleepy Joe. The music was fantastic, and I have to say the animation was some of the best I've seen in an Illumination movie.
I thought the movie had a great cast of characters, and the voice actors did an excellent job bringing them to life.
Yeah, and I liked how the movie didn't shy away from some of the more serious issues like discrimination and the pressure to conform. But it did it in a way that was still fun and accessible for kids.
Exactly, and the humor was on point too. I found myself laughing out loud several times throughout the movie.
Joe, you would be the type to laugh at a fart joke. Although I do have to say the plot was a little predictable at times. I could see where things were going before they happened.
That's true, but I don't think that detracted too much from the overall experience. The movie was still entertaining and enjoyable, even if it wasn't the most original plot.
I also thought the pacing was a bit slow in some parts. It felt like it could have been tightened up a bit to keep the momentum going.
I see what you're saying. But for me, the great music and likable characters more than made up for any pacing issues or predictable plot points.
Agreed. Overall, I'd say Sing 2 is definitely worth watching. And I'd put it solidly in B tier on our Illumination movie tier list.
I concur. B tier it is.
Yep, B tier sounds about right to me too.
All right, we just got Minions Rise of Gru, and I gotta say, it wasn't too shabby.
What are you talking about, Obama? That movie was tremendous. A huge hit. Everybody loves the Minions.
It had some good moments, but it felt like it was trying too hard to be like the first movie.
Oh, come on, guys. It had everything you want in a movie. Action, adventure, and of course, the Minions. What more could you ask for?
Well, I don't know about you, but I was a bit disappointed in the lack of character development. Like we said before, it just felt like they were going through the motions.
And the villain was kind of forgettable. I mean, I can't even remember his name.
Joe, we've been over this. You can't even remember my name half the time, you dementia-ridden geriatric, but yeah, that's true. But I did like the relationship between young Gru and the Minions. It was nice to see how they all met and became a team.
See, there you go. You guys are just nitpicking. Minions 2 was a fun, entertaining movie that the whole family can enjoy.
Don, just because we have different opinions doesn't mean we're nitpicking.
Yeah, I think we can all agree that while it may not have been as good as the first one, it was still a solid movie.
Agreed. And let's not forget about the music. That was definitely a highlight for me.
All right, fine. Maybe it wasn't perfect, but it's still one of the best animated movies out there in 2022.
Well, that's it. I don't know about you, but I'm ready for some pizza. Who's with me?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, let's go get some pizza and continue this discussion on DreamWorks movies.
Let me just put this in S tier. That's better.
Interesting tier list. Hey, did you guys know the Bank of Evil from Despicable Me was responsible for the 2008 financial crisis? Man, that's crazy. Anyway, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.